College Football Hall of Fame ballots for 2026. There are 3 people associated with the Tennessee program who are on these ballots. And the reason I use the word associated as opposed to players is because one of them is actually head coach Josh Heupel, but he is on there as a player for his time at Oklahoma. Of course, he finished pretty high up in the Heisman race in his final year there at Oklahoma. Did really well for them, won a national championship. So you would definitely think he is deserving of a spot in that group. And then the other 2 names are Tennessee players. I'll go ahead and age myself here and say I was not alive to see either of them play, but I do know about both of these guys. They are Deion Grant and Larry Severs.
Yeah, Deion Grant was a player that obviously I never got to see play. I mean, I got to see him briefly in the NFL when I first started watching football, but never got to see him play at Tennessee. But he was one of those players that I was always interested in. Looking at his stats were insane. I think one season he had 9 interceptions, which I think was second most in a season for a Tennessee player, which is pretty impressive. And he played on stacked defenses too back in the day. Like he played with like Al Wilson, and I'm pretty sure he played with like Raynoch Thompson and like Albert Hainsworth. I could be wrong about some of those names, but I mean, stacked defenses back in the day, and he's still able to be in this position where he could go into the College Football Hall of Fame. And he was pretty good in the NFL too. I mean, I don't have his stats pulled up right now. I guess
he was in there for a pretty good while. And I remember, I think, watching a Sunday night football game when he was with the Giants, and I saw him in their little intros that they have. He did say Tennessee. He didn't say Culinary Academy or anything silly like that.
Well, that's good. But yeah, I'm looking at his stats right here. Yeah, he had 30 interceptions in his career in the NFL, so pretty decent career there too. And I mean, as a rookie, he had 5 interceptions. So he was a pretty dynamic player. And you know, I wasn't alive to watch the games, like as I mentioned, but I'm pretty sure he helped sealed some of the games for Tennessee back in the day. I can't tell you which ones because I can't remember. I just remember what I saw from Decade of Dominance. But I remember that I think there was one game, maybe it was against Florida or something like that. I think he had like 2 interceptions or something like that. Like he seemed like he seemed like he was a pretty good playmaker for Tennessee. And Larry Severs, I can't talk as much about him because I mean that was way before my time. But he's one of those names that floated around a lot. I think he may have been a part of those old card sets. I don't know if you ever saw those old Tennessee.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
let me pull them up.
Yeah. I actually bought the whole box of those recently at a antique shop about a year ago, and I haven't opened them up, so I don't know who's in there and who's not. But
yeah, I want to say I have a few of those things, like maybe an Andy Kelly card somewhere in there.
Yeah, my first Tennessee card ever was actually Condredge Holloway. That was given to me from my dad from that set.
Yeah, you can buy these things on eBay apparently. Let me share my screen real quick and just tell you guys what I'm talking about, but I think a lot of you probably already know.
I think it may have been for the 100th anniversary.
At least for those of you guys who are collectors. Yeah, this is what we got right here in the middle.
Yep.
I'm sure that's the same one, Jordan.
It is.
Yeah, I figured as much. But yeah, those are pretty cool. I don't know who I have exactly though. I'd have to go back and see for sure to tell. But I know those are hiding somewhere in my closet back home. I'll be there in a few weeks, so maybe I can just scavenge there and see what I can find.
Yeah, they probably printed off a lot of those things because I've seen them float around for years at like flea markets, at antique shops. I finally went through and bought the whole thing, but honestly, I don't know if I want to open them or not. I mean, I'm sure they're not worth as much as like all these, like, you know, like a rookie card in the NFL or whatnot. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having something in like mint condition that's Tennessee related.
Do people still collect sports cards a lot?
I do.
Okay. Because I I remember getting there were. I went through a little bit of a phase where I got NFL ones every single year for Christmas, but like I don't remember collecting them past like the age of 13. Um, but again, if you can find some of those Tennessee cards, and like Jordan said, you could probably find them at a flea market. I tried to buy some cards from a flea market one time, and they were apparently all selling them to some rich individual, which is a shame.
That's so disappointing. I
Yeah.
remember one time I went to Gatlinburg and the shop's not there anymore, but if whoever's listening's been to Gatlinburg, that little alleyway where Best Italian is at, the rest like the Italian restaurant. It's literally called Best Italian. But it's that little alleyway off the strip there. There was this card shop and the dude there had a ton of Tennessee cards, and I was just probably like 10 or so at the time. I had like all of my allowance money that I saved up from overtime or birthday money, and I went in there and probably spent like 50, anywhere from 50, $100 on like all these Tennessee cards there. And the guys were like, I know that they were so happy. They were kept giving me deals. They're like, man, this kid's buying them all.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
was
just
a,
trying to get them to buy all the cards so you can get they
oh,
can get all the money.
he's like, oh, do you see that we had the Willie Galt card over here? I was like, no, I did not. I was like, I would gladly take that.
But see, that's a really cool card, though. Willie Galt, you could argue he is up there with the greatest specialists in Tennessee football history,
Oh,
at least
yeah.
return specialists.
Oh, yeah. And borderline like NFL Hall of Famer, too, or at least that's what it seemed like from the
Yeah.
stats that I remember
Well,
reading.
at least as an athlete, maybe one of the greatest Tennessee athletes of all time. I mean, I know Todd Helton's football career was up and down, but of course he played both football and baseball here. Willie Galt was a track runner as well, too, not just a football player. So he's got a legacy and multiple facets here at Tennessee. But yeah, he's right up there with Cordero Patterson and the Berry brothers as some of the best returners to ever walk through here.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. And my dad told me lots of stories about him back in the day. He seemed like a very special player. And I'm pretty sure like he was in the backfield a lot of the time too. He wasn't just playing receiver. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I've seen clips of him like taking snaps at running back, which wouldn't be surprising considering
Yeah,
how great of an athlete he was.
that and then also the fact that he wore the number 26. Like 26 is not in my brain as a wide receiver number.
No, but don't you kind of like it when you see those odd numbers?
Sometimes I do. Um,
Like Heath Schuler?
yeah. Although that's a completely different case though. You just don't see very many 21s playing quarterback. Like the last time I saw anybody in the 20s playing quarterback, I think was what's his name? Shea Patterson at Ole Miss, maybe. Although Indiana did have a quarterback that wore
Yes.
21 a couple years ago. Was it Richard Lego? Was that his name?
I can't remember his name, but I remember that guy too. And I was like, that's really cool. And I think,
Yeah,
I don't think it was ever his official number, but I think Stetson Bennett had like 22 or something like that at one point. Maybe
maybe.
as a freshman or something.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know it because he didn't play.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Heath Schuler is somewhere on those printed cards. I don't know though, because that may have been just past when they printed those cards.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was for like the 100th anniversary for the football program. And I think the program started in 1891, something like that.
Yeah,
So it probably was before Heath Schuler.
yeah. Wait, so did they have them like all the way back then? Like all the the guys on the cards from all the way back then?
I
Because
haven't seen all of them, but I know they go pretty far back.
because the only ones I remember seeing were guys from like I mean at the earliest maybe sometime in the 1960s, but it would not surprise me if they went back earlier than that.
I mean, I'm sure they had like a Johnny Majors or Doug Atkin card there at the very least.
That would make sense. Or Hank Laricella.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a lot of talk about trading cards that I did not expect to get into tonight. But if you do see those things, seriously, you should take a look at them. They are pretty cool. I've totally forgotten what the back of those things look like, but the front of them were pretty iconic. Of course, you can go back and watch this to see what I'm talking about, or you can just Google it. I think I Googled Andy Kelly's Tennessee football card because I remember seeing him specifically on one of those that was in my house. And yeah, that design on the front of it is pretty iconic, at least. So be sure and check those out. anytime you think you're around them.